Shalom, dear friends. Wonderful to be with you, and we are sending you blessing and blessing from Jerusalem and from Israel. Today we want to speak about something very special, and obviously we spoke about a lot of things here. There is some great events that happen in Israel, but there is also some trouble, and especially right now in Gaza, there is really conflicts with the people from Gaza, and we have Mireia Pons who is coming today to speak to us.
Mireia. Thank you so much,
Thank
Nathalie.
you. It's wonderful to have you. She's going to speak about Yatar, and Yatar is a very special organization who is helping for counter-terrorism, and so we are going to speak about all these things today, which is very exciting. So first of all, could you just introduce a bit Yatar, the kind of work that they are doing, and after we speak about Gaza and what's happening over there.
So our unit, it's called Yatar. Yatar, it's a unit specialized with ATVs, like all-terrain vehicles.
So it's like buggies.
Yes, but very powerful ones, like the best that there are. And it's run by volunteers. So it's an elite volunteer counter-terrorism unit. And we are working and being recruited by the border police. And in some areas, like normally we work with together with the police and the border police, but in some areas in Israel, critical areas like the borders of Israel, these are under the command of IDF. So in that point, what we are doing in the Gazan border, in our south part of Yatar South, we call it, we are working, protecting the communities that are suffering under the most threats of terror, and which are the closest to the border. And we are working together with the head of security of each kibbutz, or village or community that are getting orders directly from the IDF. So we are working together with IDF or border police, depending in which areas we are talking in Israel.
And with the community. So how is it for the people who live in these communities when they see, and I know you have to give me some more numbers, because it's very hard to find really proper numbers and facts. I saw today that there was 600 kites who've been flying from Gaza to Israel. Is it the right number? Is it more?
There's been 600 kites which reach Israel in like 10 weeks, which means that all these communities are dealing with, we are talking about communities about 200 to 400 people. It's not like a big cities. They are very small.
Villages. Yeah.
Exactly, and they are surrounded by fires. So meaning that that they are dealing not with one fire a day, like they are dealing with 20 fires a day. So many times, some of them, they are at the same time, all over. So it's very stressful. So we're talking about 600, about quantity, 600 kites that reach Israel, that destroyed an enormous amount, nature, part of nature, forest.
Because you need to know, right now is the summer, so everything is getting dry, the sun is so strong, and so everything, and the harvest everything is ready, like the wheat and all this.
Mainly, like the wheat was the first to get on fire. There is a lot of wheat that is coming from the south. This they had to cut it at the end before it was ready, because of the danger of the fire. So this went all gone, like all the harvests are gone. The IDF is fighting these kites with some techniques, which I'm not going to speak about, but the number is even much higher if the complete amount of kites were coming into Israel. I can tell you that the ecological disaster, even like all the harvest, these people are farmers which are either under the stress and under terror threats. They've been working and life continues.
And financially, how is it going to be with them? Because it's their work.
That's another thing. Like a week ago, something was released that Israel wanted and the farmers wanted to make Hamas the responsible for their loss. But I think when most of the harvests that are falling or that they've gone lost, they are under in the perimeter or like in the area that it's in the zone area, which is under threat. And I think that at the end the government will end up paying for that. I mean, this is something that it's out of my reach. But,
sure, but again, it's consequences of this peaceful march, which is not at all.
It's
like
not a
violent.
peaceful No, it's not a peaceful.
So tell us again now, we look on the side of Israel, but tell us a bit on the side of Gaza, how they organize all these things, and because you know a bit, you know what's happening, and it's not peaceful march. So tell us a bit what they have in their head, what is the objectives?
The main objective of this, they were in the propaganda, they were releasing that it was the movement of the embassy. These are just excuses.
You mean the embassy, like
the American embassy? We think that there are excuses, definitely, and the hate, we are already dealing with terror many more years than that, and since Hamas is in charge of the Gaza Strip, nothing really good came out. I mean, they could have built Tel Aviv twice up, like if they, with all the numbers, money that they got in humanitarian. If they really cared about the Gazans, I think they would have rebuilt already the area, and they would have provided with electricity, gas. They've been burning the electricity, like the entrance of electricity, and refusing any kind of aid that was coming into Gaza. And they did it on purpose. It's not random. What I think also, it's like and what we've been talking about and what we see on our side of the news is that this is based on making a desperate situation in order to use them for terror.
And also for the media to think that they are again poor Palestinians, which is...
The main reason it was to bring up the agenda. Gaza was not in the news anymore. BDS was losing some kind of attention on that area, and the main reason of this, it was to bring up the Palestinian purpose.
Again, at the front of the pages of the newspapers.
So that's one thing. It all started on the 30th of March. And we started at the beginning with a massive amount of people coming to the borders. It was around 30,000 people, 20 to 30,000 people. For what I know, is that the IDF was preparing to have some sharpshooters, but mainly to have gas. Like we do it in the West Bank when there is riots that you use gas. The second week they started with the burning of tires.
Which is a great pollution too.
It's very bad for them and for us. Like they are very near to the sea, so all the area it's polluted. It's a very heavy smoke releasing pollutants, which is affecting very much the health of people. So I mean, who's living in the border, they are really feeling that. Now we are already in the 10th week of fires. People that are working and volunteers, because they are all based in the people inside. I'm not talking about the IDF. I'm talking about Yatar, what we are doing inside of the communities. These are people that are defending themselves, trying to put out the fires from the morning to the night, even in the middle of the night, for 10 weeks.
And they are volunteers, so it's not full-time. They have a job.
They have a rough shots, which this one is paid by the government. And they are like in every kibbutz, like between 12 to 20, depending in which kibbutz they are.
How big they are.
How big they are, also amount of threats that they are dealing with. Like, for example, Nachalos, there are much more than 12. In some other areas, there are only 12 volunteers. So these are volunteers. These are people that they are guarding their own garden. Yeah. So it's heavy. It's no sleep, and then we had also the threat of the rockets.
Yes, that's it. You have also the rockets. You have the red alerts in the midst of all the things.
Yes, this started at the end of May, like 29th of May, and then we had one day rest, and another day again rockets were falling.
Yes, how many rockets in one day? The
like
highest
around
day?
70, even more, but they are talking about around 180 rockets in the very short time, yeah. So it's it's not sleeping, it's constantly...
It's like, and it's there, you don't know when it's going to stop, and it's like putting your stress level very high. Now, I'm amazed of the resilience of the people. And I read some article, they say, this is our place and we will stay. But how is it affecting the children? Because children are like,
yeah, that's
different...
that's bad. But on the other side, I had the pleasure to meet one of the principals of one of the schools that is the closest to the Gaza border, like a few hundred meters. And they are doing a great job. Like they are really helping the kids to deal with terror. And they know what to do. We are talking about areas that they have maybe 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 15 seconds in Sderot to get to shelter. I mean, when we're talking about Nachalos, you don't have even time to get out from the shower. But we are trying to offer them, like they have a lot of shelters. Every home in the Otef Gaza has a shelter because of the high threat of bombs falling. But then you have to spend all night sleeping in the whole family in a small room in a shelter, and then moving. Like it's a chaos situation when alarm it's going off and you're in the middle of the highway and you don't know where it's going to fall. For the kids, it's stressing. I mean, there's one, and also for everyone, they have a lot of sleeping problems. And the kids they are doing pee-pee in, like
bedwetting.
Yes. So all kind of stress disorders that can be. It's a very high percentage of kids with problems.
I heard that Netanyahu was speaking today to Theresa May and said, okay, we need to find not just us, but the community, the world community needs to find solution that this can't go on, and that he wants to show that it's not just his problem, but the community, the world community has to see that there is really a problem with Gaza. So I don't know what, have you heard a bit about it?
Like on the news, what the global news will say? Well, I'm flabbergasted that people really still believe in all this kind of propaganda, and that the media it's not releasing the images and videos. There is enough footage regarding non-peaceful protests. These are not peaceful protests. These are people throwing rocks. There has been like 300 explosives set on the border. There's been, and they entered
and they try to to infiltrate.
They are infiltrating. They are succeeding to infiltrate, and they are coming with knives. I mean, they have terror tunnels, which are very close to communities, sometimes even go out inside of a community. Imagine for a second, God forbid, that a group of terrorists of Hamas enters in a village. And we know what they're coming to say. I mean, there is images and videos saying that they are coming to tear out our hearts. So I really don't get it, that the people still believe in this kind of propaganda.
So I want also to tackle the things, because you were saying like now Gush Katif, there was some beautiful communities who were in Gaza, so there was a bit of relation between Palestinians and Jewish people, but now they are gone, which is now 11 years ago. So obviously there is no connection at all. And so the young people can believe more what Hamas is saying because they don't know what's happening on the other side.
Yes, this is a major problem. I think that in our generation and the generations to come, social media is making a big role in our way of thinking and understanding stuff. What we see is what we understand. And there was a time, like I've been speaking to Eyal, he's the head of the Moatza, like council in Shara Negev. It's like around 10 villages between the south and the north. Like there is Otef Aza, it's from like the north to the south of the Strip. Mm-hmm. And Shara Negev, they are more in the middle. And we're talking about a kilometer deep down into Israel. So these are the communities very close to the border. So he would say he was as an IDF soldier when he was still in the IDF many years. He spent inside Gaza with the Gush Katif. Mm-hmm. And they have friends, families that they used to work in Israel, and there was definitely a contact between them, and they are getting calls like, help us, the situation is really desperate. They have no water, they have no gas, they have no electricity.
So you mean the people from Gaza?
Yes.
Were connecting with
Israeli families that they used to be like, I don't know if best friends, but they were just working together. They knew that there was a working relationship. Mm-hmm. And definitely their situation right now, it's not what it used to be. So, and he was telling me that all the people under 35, mm-hmm. they know nothing about Israel. Like all they know, it's what they see on
propaganda.
Yes, and you see now more and more the videos that they are releasing about kids in school, and they teach
with
them
the weapons and everything.
Exactly, they teach them how to kidnap soldiers, how to kidnap civilians, and to be part of Hamas. Like
I know. I saw some videos of little children, and not just boys, but also girls saying, "I want to kill my Jew," and I was like, little kids, because
yes.
they've been only told these things.
It's sad, and really the Israelis have to really feel for the civilians mm-hmm. of Gaza. I mean, here in Israel we have great Arab population, which are also like, and it seems like it's coming more up to front, that they dare to stand up and to say, I'm an Israeli Arab, and I think that Israel has the right to be there. Mm-hmm. And I see this as a light to darkness.
Yeah,
yes, we can live together.
Mm-hmm.
We can
mm-hmm.
live together. And if you look at all the Middle East and you see the situation what's going on, I mean, this is not a bad place for Arabs to live in.
Yeah.
And they are selling us like an apartheid state of a terrorist. I wanted to say something that regarding what happened on the 14th of May mm-hmm. When they were shooting on the borders. Sharpshooters cannot make a decision by their own to shoot. They have to get a confirmation. That's why like 50 of these 60 people that were killed mm-hmm. were terrorists.
When an IDF soldier see that something is happening, he has to have his commander.
The sharpshooter, yes, mm-hmm. before he's shooting. Mm-hmm. And to confirm before he's shooting. I mean, imagine if any country in the world, mm-hmm. if they would come to the borders with knives, with throwing rockets and everything, who would, in a city like Paris or London or Barcelona, wouldn't they defend their borders? Yes. Wouldn't they? And what should we do? Should we enter in Gaza? You know how many other people would be killed the moment that the army would enter into Gaza. So this is, if we are comparing this to Syria or other countries, I'm not saying that I'm not so talking about the amount. Any life, it's value, but the amount of deaths for such a problem, where like 70,000, 30,000 people are trying to breach the border. And they are sending kids
to kill,
and sending kids and women to the front.
Because they know that the IDF doesn't kill children.
Women and kids.
Yeah.
So
then I saw things, and I heard it from people, like Gazan people were saying that. We know that the IDF has a so high level of dignity, really human dignity for the people, that we can bring our children and our women because they are not going to be killed. So meanwhile, the terrorists can do things when the others, when the women and the children are.
Definitely. So it's ugly to speak about it, but this is the truth, and it's a terrible situation, and we really need to find a solution because these people are really suffering in the south, and I don't know what our prime minister will choose to do or what will be the next step. That's something we have still to wait for it.
I've been thinking also a lot about these conflicts and how it's going, and I see me not being Israeli, but seeing that now, looking at how much Israel is helping, still helping, because they know that Hamas is a terror organization, but that the people are oppressed under them. And my personal conclusion is like the Gazan people or the Palestinians have to make their own revolution to stand.
It's hard.
Exactly, and it's hard
very
for them
hard
because they are under.
They calculate there is around 100,000. Not only Hamas. Hamas is the one that is in the Shilton, like in charge of the Gaza city and Strip, but. Aside from Hamas, there are many jihad organizations.
Jihad.
Yes, so there is different organizations. They calculate there is around like 100,000 terrorists. Can you imagine in them, like one of the problems is that inside Gaza, they are also, it's like a kind of monopoly. Like the one that is the strongest, doing the most pain, is the one that is getting the money. So there is like a kind of competition between the jihad organizations, and they are getting money from Iran also. So for Gazans to stand up and do something like that, it's definitely asks for a lot of courage. And every year, every month that we are passing, and they are educating the people to be against and to be pro-Hamas, it's time lost.
But tell us, who want to say to the people, Yatar, we can help. People can help Yatar. So give us a bit what...
So Yatar, what we are doing is providing the volunteers. These are volunteers many times that they are in the Gaza Strip. If this is our next goal for this year, actually, to build up Yatar in the south to protect these communities. These are people that are living, they are part of these communities, that they are already volunteers, but they don't have gear, they don't have anything. So we are providing them with ATVs in order to be a first and fast response aid unit for any kind of terror. It can be fire, that they can arrive first and try to keep it small until the fire department arrive. But imagine a terror attack is coming in, and they have to, it's all fields. So you cannot get even with a 4x4 car. So with these ATVs, you can get much faster to the target, more protected. So we are giving all the gear and all the and those ATVs in order to protect those areas.
And I saw that you are doing also, like, you can sponsor one volunteer for $2,500. And I thought this is great. It's like a congregation, or like your church or your prayer group or whatever wants to do something. You know, Yatar they are beautiful. They are defending the civilians because they know their life is precious. And I think this is an amazing thing that, again, people and Christians from outside of Israel can help, saying, I love Israel, I pray for the peace of Jerusalem, I pray for the peace of Israel.
Thank you.
And this is just wonderful. So friends, you can go onto the website and you can help. You pray. We are praying together for the peace of Jerusalem, and you can do also action and help Yatar. Mireia, thank you for coming.
So much. Thank
Wonderful.
You.
And we'll see you next week. Bye. Shalom, dear friends. Wonderful to be with you today. We are carry on looking at the Decalogue, and do you remember is the 10 commandments that we find in Exodus 20, and in Hebrew it is Aseret Advarim. And today we are looking at the second commandment, and let us read what it is. You shall have no other gods beside me. You shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above, or on earth beneath, or in the water below. So this is the whole verse in English, and now we're looking at the name in Hebrew is Lo Yihye Lecha Elohim Acherim Al Panai. So we are going to look a bit of what's happening. Lo means no. You remember, like lo is no, and ken is yes. So God is saying, lo, first thing, don't have any God beside me. And so Elohim Acherim is the other God. And sometimes, it's just a bit subtle. We just still believe in God, but we don't think that He's there and that He wants a relationship with us. And this is the more important things for Him. He is a very jealous God in a very good way. He wants us to be close to Him. So Al-Panei is in front of His face or in front of my face because it's God speaking to us. And if you remember, Panim is face, which is interesting because Im is show the plural. So you can see how many expressions we can do with our face. And when we read also again the Word of God, we can touch God's face, which is very important. There is also something that is very important. When you go to see a king or when you go to see a queen, you look at them face to face. And again, this is what God is speaking about. Is like, I want this face to face with you. And I don't want you to turn your back to me. And which is very interesting because you see all the synagogues, or even when the people go at the Western Wall, they are facing the wall, or they are facing Jerusalem, or they are facing, when they are in another country, they are facing the land of Israel, because they want to show that there is this face-to-face with God. So this is very special to see that. So we say the verse is just the beginning of the second commandment, together in Hebrew. Lo Yihye Lecha Elohim Acharim Al Panai. I don't want you to have other gods in front of my face, in my presence, because I want you to be close to me and me close to you. This is what we've learned today again. We'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, Mireia, thank you again for coming and speaking to us about Yatar. And if you want to look on their website, it's yatarctu.org, and you can know more about them, and you can help them, and you can pray for the peace of Jerusalem, as we were saying before. And from Yara and from me, bye, and see you next week.